Phoenix Suns beat Denver Nuggets at home by a final score of 100-93. After going up 20 points in the first half, they're outscored 34-24 in the third quarter. And the Phoenix Suns only scored 16 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, they end with only 40 points in the second half. And when you take a look at kind of how everything started, right? The Denver Nuggets sit Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who was out with a non-COVID illness. They sit Nikola Jokic, who was out with right calf tightness. And then both Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. were out with injury management. So starting just knowing that pregame, Suns Geek, were you disappointed with the fact that we weren't going to see kind of the A squad from the Nuggets? Or was it just like, you know what? I don't care. Thanks for the free win, especially considering the Clippers lost tonight.
I'm going to answer both, and here's why. Because obviously this was Kevin Durant's fifth game with the Phoenix Suns, so we want to see Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns play at their best against the very best, especially in the Western Conference. But at the same time, I'll go back to what I said earlier. This was Kevin Durant's fifth game with the Phoenix Suns, so I'll take any amount of minutes, any amount of reps, any amount of games with Kevin Durant. So sort of, to answer your question, both. Again, this would have been a completely different ball game, and we'd be having a completely different conversation if even just Nikola Jokic played tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? This is basketball, man, and I don't understand basketball anymore because, as I tweeted out earlier, no lead is safe in the NBA, and the third quarter was a huge example of that. And, we're probably going to dive into it and everything, but it was honestly on both teams. It was on the Phoenix Suns just letting their foot off of the gas, but it was also the Denver Nuggets who go to show how deep they are and that they can hit shots. And when you turn the ball over, I mean, you have a chance to score, and that's exactly what they did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Eddie Johnson reminds us constantly on the broadcast that with the 24-second shot clock, this era and the way that teams shoot threes efficiently and effectively, no lead is truly safe.
Yeah.
But when you look at kind of that lineup that's out, I understand it, right? You got to think back that this is, and the Denver Nuggets are a team that are the Phoenix Suns last year and the Utah Jazz the year before. Okay? They've all but locked up the one seed. The only reason why I thought it was a little strange that they didn't put forth more of an effort right now, knowing that they have to play Phoenix next week in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The Suns, their last three games, it's Denver, Lakers, Clippers, right? The only reason I was surprised they didn't make more of an effort is entering this game after Memphis beat the Los Angeles Clippers tonight. They only have a 2.5 game lead over the Memphis Grizzlies for the one seed. Now, that being said, Denver does hold the tiebreaker over Memphis. They beat them 2 out of 3 times. So it's more than just a 2.5 game lead. And if they lose this game, which they did, it's a 2 game lead over Memphis with, I think they both have 5 to play. If it's 5, yeah, I think it's 5 to play. So it's like they'd have to lose, 3 and win 2, and and Memphis would have to do the exact opposite. But essentially, Memphis would have to win 1 extra game. So they were gambling a little bit there. And the other side of this that you have to think about is, given the way that the playoffs are currently structured, if the Phoenix Suns end with the 4 seed, which is increasingly likely, and whoever they play in the first round, upon beating them, who would they play in the second round? These Denver Nuggets. So why in any way, shape, or form would you tip any of your hand against a team you could potentially play in the second round? Take it as a rest day. It's the second night of a back-to-back. Everything pointed to them not playing any of these guys. And I know it was kind of talked about earlier in the day. If you were on the Twitter spheres, you were seeing that they might hold some of these guys out there questionable and things of that nature. So coming into this, and I typically have this conversation with like Matthew. And Matthew gets disappointed sometimes because we're not playing against a full squad, because you always want to know who you're measuring up against. And as you mentioned, with Kevin Durant here and being only his 5th game with Phoenix and us being healthy, I mean, you put out
that little short TikTok thing.
The short on TikTok, on Suns Geek's TikTok channel you're talking about. It's like, this is the first time like we have a clean bill of health
Yep. Mm-hmm.
entering a game. So everything that we have is there, and it'd be nice to test that against the best team in the Western Conference. but a win is a win is a win, man.
Yeah, and we need it, man. I mean, you were talking about the standings and all these tiebreakers, and I like to use the word fragile this year. I mean, the standings are so fragile. You know, when the stinky Lakers are in the 7th seed right now, at least last time I checked, that goes to show how crazy the standings are. And you know me, John, I feel like I'm an NBA historian. I've studied the history of this league. I don't know if I've ever seen this. I mean, every day the standings are different. 2 losses in a row, and you're dropping. It is insane, man.
I've seen it where it's happening kind of in the middle or at the end,
Right.
but because of the play in, it's changed obviously
Yeah.
the entire aspect of the NBA. But to your point, it's like it's 4 seed to 10 seed.
Yeah.
It's not like 7, 8, and 9 seed is flipping. And if
Yeah.
you're 2, you're out of the playoffs. And we've seen some historic chokes in that manner. But this is unbelievable. And that's why this win, it's almost gift wrapped to you.
Yeah.
And to your point, we can talk about the third a little bit, but I think we should start simply by, talking about the fact that the team is now 5-0 with Kevin Durant and what we saw from him, especially considering how he struggled in his last game shooting wise. I mean, Kevin looked amazing in this game.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
Efficient tonight, Kevin Durant. 30 points on 11 of 15 shooting, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 1 steal. You take a look at that stat line, Suns Geek, and you just got to be happy. I mean, 12 points in the first quarter, 4 of 4 shooting. Was there any worry following his sub-Durant outing against the Wolves that he couldn't rebound and play like this tonight?
Absolutely not, because this is Kevin freaking Durant. And I talked about it on my live show last time, when we beat the Timberwolves. I said, you know what? Kevin Durant can take a night off. And if I think he finished with 16, 8, and 4 last game.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. And then he hit those 2 clutch threes kind of late in the fourth quarter. I'm like, I am fine with that. Kevin Durant was absolutely incredible tonight, not just offensively, although he only missed 4 shots, by the way, which is incredible. When's the last time a Suns player did that on 30 points scored? But my point is that even defensively, he was incredible. And even though he had 2 assists, I thought the playmaking was really good. Even last game, I thought the playmaking was good. Even if it was just Kevin Durant getting the ball, slowing things down a little bit, or that little outlet pass that him and Booker seem to be doing, because that's now twice now, where one of them will cherry pick and then they just dish it down court. Kevin Durant was absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's literally, besides maybe 3 turnovers, there's nothing to nitpick about. And that's not even a big deal. You're going to turn the ball over when you're having fun out there. At least in the first half, they were having fun. He was amazing.
They're getting careless a little bit in that second half.
He was reminding people, he's like, hey, I'm still one of the best players in the NBA, man. He was incredible. I mean, you saw exactly what I saw. All those mid-range shots, especially that one little one-legged Dirk-like floater. That was amazing, man. Just he got anything he wanted out there. And just even though there were some good contests out there and good attempts to try to stop him, didn't matter who was on him, didn't matter who was guarding him. That ball was going in.
Dude, we got Kevin Durant on our team.
Exactly.
It's so much fun to watch basketball. I get so excited to watch games just knowing that I get to watch Kevin Durant night in and night out play for my team. Obviously, this is the second game that he's been back. I mean, he was acquired by the Phoenix Suns, back in February. And then I think it was like February 8th, February 9th.
Seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah,
and it was only like a month or so ago.
It's almost 2 months ago.
Yeah,
so it's it's still a very, very new feeling for all of us Suns fans to watch him out there. And it's the ease in which he scores.
Yep.
When we watch Devin Booker, as amazing as he is, he pulls off some acrobatic shit to get those points to fall for him. And he's got to earn every point and then some sometimes. Yeah. With Kevin Durant, it's just so easy. It's like you said, a quick little jab step, and he's doing a Dirk 18-foot fadeaway. He's hitting those wide open threes early in the game. He's doing a fadeaway on the left block, fading away. I mean, it's like he's doing things that you're just like, fuck, man, we got Kevin Durant on our team. And the advantage of that is every time you need a bucket, you got a guy who can just straight up get. And that's not to say Devin Booker hasn't been that guy, but now you got 2 of them.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant's so much better than Booker, and Devin Booker's fucking good. So it's exciting to watch and to see how free flowing the game was coming to him, and how, from a chemistry standpoint, he's already blended into the team. And we know this because we saw it during our 3-game, winning streak with him before. It's like, oh shit, plug and play. This is fun, right?
Exactly, man. And that's why I referenced the whole like Devin Booker and him are kind of doing this little cherry pick thing. But like, I just saw I think Kevin Durant's first points of this game were a 3 off a nice little ball movement. But then Kevin Durant was like posting up Christian Braun or Christian Brown,
Yes.
however he pronounced his name, posting up, taking his time, fading away. It was just beautiful, man. And like you said, plug and play. Like we knew that, I think, after the second game. Like he just clicks especially with Devin Booker. Now, don't get me
Yes.
wrong. There were some times throughout this game where you can kind of tell, okay, he's still learning the chemistry with certain guys here and there. But with Devin Booker, man, it's like having another Booker out there, but on steroids, if you will.
Yes.
It is incredible. And the way that you were talking about how Kevin Durant scores, it's just like 10 times, and I mean this respectfully, it's just 10 times easier and more efficient and more experienced than Devin Booker. It just was so flawless tonight. It was amazing, man.
It's flawless. It's fluid, and it adds extra aspects to the Suns' offense. I mean, one thing that I noticed is in the second quarter, due to his effectiveness, Devin Booker got extra rest.
Yes.
And that's unbelievably valuable.
Huge.
Not just right now, but come playoff time, that's going to be even more valuable because the schedule gets so tough simply because you're playing every other night. And the other thing that I thought was interesting, there was one play where Chris Paul passes the ball down to Kevin Durant on the block, and he's posting up. And Reggie Jackson comes over to help, and it kind of disrupts the play. And Kevin Durant passes the ball right out, and Chris Paul throws it right back at him because as he's passing the ball out, Reggie Jackson has to reset on defense.
Right.
And he passes it right back to Durant, and then Durant, posts up and scores.
Yep.
And we don't get that from DeAndre Ayton. He's not a post player. He doesn't navigate the post correctly. You throw it down there to DA, and he just looks lost. Whereas Kevin Durant's like, boom, boom, here comes a double. Okay, get rid of this. Okay,
doesn't
reset,
matter who's on me.
Yeah, I'm going to figure this out. And that's the advantage. When in AZ says in the chat, helps to be 7 feet. Yes, it does. Helps to be like DeAndre Ayton's size, but with Devin Booker's abilities. Like that's what Kevin Durant is. And we're starting to see that night in and night out. Again, you look at the final score, it's 100 points for the Phoenix Suns to 93. And had they stayed focused, I feel, had they stayed as engaged as they were in the first half, it would have been a much different story. I mean, this team had 60 points
in
at
the first half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on normal pace, that's $120. But when you start to turn the ball over in the second half, when you start to lose a little bit of the focus, because to your point, they were starting to have a little too much fun out there, right? They are sitting there running plays that, Kyler Murray should be running for the Arizona Cardinals. They're running wheel routes and trying to hit these long passes. They're getting intercepted. They're kind of taking themselves out of the game. But knowing that you have that person, Kevin Durant, we know who he is just it's a settling feeling. And I'll talk about it a little bit later in the subreddit stakeout. For those of you who are on the Suns Geek channel, it's something we do on the Suns Jam session where I hang out during the subreddit of the opposing team just to hear what they're saying. And a lot of the things they're saying is, they're happy because this is the third team squad and they competed tonight. And so I ask you that question. Denver is a scary team. Okay, this is the team that's been the best in the Western Conference pretty much the entire season, right? Phoenix was there at the front end of the season after a really hot start in the first 2 months. Injuries hit us. We fell down. Denver stepped up. They've been healthy for the most part all season. But seeing their third team, their second and third team perform the way that they did tonight with the grit, with the perseverance. I was going to say perseverance and resiliency. I combined the two. What's your take on Denver right now? Does this even matter?
A little, I think more for Denver, and that's kind of why I referenced referenced her. I was like, this was sort of on both teams tonight. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, let's be real. The Nuggets have won 51 games this year. You kind of said it like they're the Suns of last year, the Jazz the year before that. And I'm sure we can compare this Nuggets team to teams in the past. And as we kind of saw tonight, they are incredible on offense. They are really good on offense, especially when you're literally handing them the ball. But
Yeah.
and they have depth. They have guys that I haven't even really heard of or don't know too much about. And I feel like I know this league pretty damn well. But they got themselves a good team. Mike Malone is a great defensive-minded coach who also
Yes.
knows the game really well. But yeah, they're solid, man. And I've been saying this even before we got Kevin Durant. I was saying, I don't know who we're going to verse in the playoffs and all that. You know, I don't know what the players are going to look like, but it is going to be tough no matter what.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
if we verse the Clippers, like if it stays 4-5,
Mm-hmm.
even with, you know, Paul George's status up in the air, which by the way, I hope he's okay because that was a scary injury.
Yes, it was.
It's still going to be tough, man. But if we can do exactly what we did in that first half for just 40 minutes, man, we are going to be tough to beat. And when some of our bench guys, I've been talking about this so much on my channel, man, when some of those bench guys actually start to get the 3 ball to go down, looking at you, Damian Lee, we are going to be tough to beat. I mean, can you imagine
Damian
this
Lee,
first? I was
you
just
can
going to say,
kiss his minutes goodbye. He's gone.
I was
He's
just
not
going
going
to
to be
say,
playing.
if you could take this first half and then mix it with what we've kind of seen the bench do the past few games in a playoff game, it's over.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah,
You can't-
Damian Lee has been very disappointing.